Hey, Spin. This is my spot, Mister. You come over here. Good job. You're comfortable with Johnny, aren't you? He's worn out because of this hike we did earlier. He got into
yeah, but he's a beautiful dog. I always admire people. You know, I had dogs for many years, and I always exercised them, kept them lean. I think they're happier, aren't they, when they're like that?
Oh, so much happier.
And I took my dog everywhere. All my
too.
surfing and all. Like you, I got yelled at in notes on my car all the time.
He's a jerk when he's not exercising. But when he is getting some exercise, you know, it's the same deal, dude. Yeah,
we all get a little.
I'm a crabby
cabin
dude.
fever, and we want to get out and move around, man.
Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 30 of From the Van. It's a podcast from my van, where I have conversations with people who have relationships with residential vehicles. Today's episode features Johnny C. He's a guitar player, singer, songwriter, and a new friend of mine. I've met him in the last couple of weeks. Exactly 2 weeks ago, today, he moved into his Dodge Promaster. So I wanted to get this interview as soon as possible so that we could get the perspective of somebody who is committed to this van life thing, but super duper brand new at it. So we talked about, you know, the things that he's nervous about, the places that he's being pushed out of his comfort zone, and the benefits and detriments that come with that. As always, conversation meandered well into his personal life. That's one of my favorite things to do, is really dig into who the people are and figure out what they're doing and why they're doing it. We had a really good conversation. I hope that you enjoy episode 30 of From the Van featuring Johnny C.
All right, Johnny, what's your last name? I don't even know that.
Collius.
Collius. How do you spell it?
Collias. It's a Greek.
Okay.
Greek name.
Cool.
Collius.
All right.
Yep.
Sweet.
How much Greek I got in me, but.
Cullias. I've never heard that one.
Not a lot of us are out.
Where'd you grow up?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, we just visited a good friend of mine there, and he's actually several episodes ago on the podcast. He doesn't live in a van, but he does have a big righteous beard like you. He's an artist that I've known for a really long. We went to college together, and his work is like beautifully whimsical and hyper political at the same time. So it's a super curious, fun deal.
Got a little bit going on there.
Yeah.
But I'm you know, we talked about that already a little bit. I'm still rebellious. Part of the reason that I'm doing this.
Yeah, dude, you're living in a van.
I'm not angry. But rebellious in the sense that I just want to do what I want to do. I want to be left alone.
Yeah, sure.
It's that simple too. It's nothing I would, I'm advocating necessarily or not. Just
yeah. Just doing what you're doing.
Yep.
So. Okay, this is one of the reasons I wanted to hurry up and get you on the podcast, is because you're super new to the whole van life
yes,
thing.
Exactly.
How long have you been in the van?
14 days today, sir.
2 weeks, that's it.
Full time.
Yeah. How long have you had the van?
Since August 13th, and I had a place I was living, but I immediately took my queen size bed and threw it into the back of that, thinking that that's what I was going to put in there, because I was going to go on the cheap.
Yeah.
And I slept in there the first night with it, and it was all cockeyed in there, and it was that big, huge, mattress.
Oh, right.
Huge,
and it didn't
heavy.
Fit between the.
No, and I thought I was already
and...
thinking. So I pulled back and pulled it out, and I went back to YouTube, and they all say, you know what? If you don't have to move right away, but man, if you're going to sleep in this thing, don't start cutting corners. So they said, go buy yourself. Think about what size you want, where you want it.
Right.
So I turned it this way because it's the Promaster. You can sleep across. And so I slept right out in front of my place for a month and a half. Just to kind of wean my.
Yeah.
So I could run in and go to the bathroom or run into to the refrigerator. Cheat, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good. It's a good way to acclimate yourself. I
didn't
did the
like
same
it.
Thing. You didn't like it?
No. First 2 or 3 nights, I thought I was going to choke to death.
Because of
anxiety
airflow,
attacks.
Oh,
I think that probably. I had the doors cracked and stuff, but sitting up high like that, nervous.
Yeah.
About being out on the street, kind of, and just felt like, oh man. And so, to say the least, I was disappointed because now the any enthusiasm I had for it had been shut off.
Oh, really?
But now I'm committed. I already bought the van and I already
Right.
gave notice to rent, so this is going to
Uh-huh.
happen. But I'm still glad I did it that way.
Yeah.
Because after about a week or two, you know, you adapt, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny, like light sleepers and stuff. I was thinking about that as I was talking to you the other day, because we were talking about, and I had the same sort of thing, like especially like the first few nights that I stayed in the van, I had permission in a parking lot at this company I was working with to stay up there, but it's in an industrial park and there are tweakers around there sometimes.
Or whoever.
You know, and like one night for a while, I kept hearing this tapping and I was so scared that somebody was fucking with the van. And it was just spin dreaming and kicking the side of the van, but it was like all this paranoia.
They echo, you know, especially
Yeah.
mine that's not built out like yours.
Yeah.
Any little, even if it's meat or something on the roof. I told you the other day that crows were
Yeah.
jumping down on top
Walking
of it.
on it.
But I've never had that. So I don't know, you know, it sounded loud.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
somebody was on top of the van.
Have you been in the van when it rained yet?
Nope.
Because you're here in Encinitas so far, at least, right?
But I can see already how, you know, because it's been moist at some of the nights.
Mm-hmm.
It gets pretty damp in there. So that's.
Well, I think if you get a vent fan, that's going to alleviate a whole lot of that. And these ones can be, the Max fan can be left open while it's raining.
That's what I understand.
And it won't
yeah.
come in. But the noise, the white noise of the rain is just absolutely wonderful for me anyway.
Oh, you like it?
I love
Oh,
it.
I've
It's
heard
so
a lot of
soothing.
stories of people say that they end up having to get out and go to a you know, Denny's or something just to, you know, or whatever, if they're out close enough by a city just to get out of it
Really?
or something. They just drives them crazy. you know.
During sleeping or?
I've watched so many videos, and when you watch enough of them, you're gonna hear all sides. You know,
Yeah.
the good and the stories of people that don't like rain or don't like certain
Right.
things. But
I think I would get like a little cabin fever if I were stuck somewhere it
what
was
I-
raining on a regular basis.
that's kind of what I'm referring to. It's like a couple that lived up in the Washington,
Pacific
Oregon area.
Northwest, yeah.
They said they went out to go off grid.
Yeah.
But then it rained for like
Uh-huh.
5 days in a row almost, and so they were about ready to kill
Murder each other. Yeah. No, we haven't dealt with any of that, but when it starts raining in the middle of the night, the two of us are like, "Hey, babe, it's raining."
Oh, so you
I
okay?
know.
Well,
We love it.
I'm not, you know, afraid of it. It's just another one of those things to get used to. But
acclimate
I don't
to.
have anything on my roof. Remember?
And so it's gonna be real loud.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it'll be quite a show.
Yeah. So, wow, I didn't know that you had hated it right out of the gate. Where are you at right now?
Hated
with
it. No, well, I hated it, but I don't know. I told you what I'm still spooked. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was gonna encounter this kind of unsureness of myself, and emotional.
Yeah.
Just I still am struggling with feelings of shame, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm bumping into people though that I know that I haven't seen in a long time, and they ask me what I'm doing, and I tell them, and I get these. Some lady read me the Riot Act the other day in the Gap store over in Encinitas. I happened to bump into, and she said, "That's the van I pointed out in the lot by the Trader Joe's." And she just goes, "You know, that's against the law, don't you?" And I went, "Yes." And she goes, "Well, you don't park in front of our house. You know, we don't want you." And she knows me.
Yeah.
She wanted to know how I was going to the bathroom. That was her big.
Yeah,
she goes, "Well, where you? Tell me what you're doing." And I said, "Really?" So I told her. And she goes, "Wow." I go, "Don't ask that." What do you think? I mean, I don't have a built-in bathroom.
Right,
there,
right. Are you going to the gym? You're
oh yeah,
you got a gym membership.
That's been the one of the real surprises.
Yeah.
Using it at more of a hygiene someplace to go.
Yeah.
But I'm back running again, and I thought I'd never run again. Was quite a runner. And it's just been recent in the last year or two that I've sort of stopped doing it with the music and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm back, not running a lot, but I'm back running a mile up on the treadmill and then doing all these jumping jacks and things. So my fitness level is very high right now.
Right.
For my age, and that's kind of a neat thing to rediscover.
Yeah.
Because that gets
super
away
cool.
from you, man.
Yeah.
Get older, that means it may never come back.
I'm approaching 40 very rapidly, and that is becoming super apparent to me. And since I got the van, I was riding my bicycle everywhere for 8 years. And when
Keep
you're
you
burning
fit.
that many calories, you don't have to quote unquote exercise.
Well, you are exercising.
Because you've got this tons of calories.
It doesn't matter how you
out-
exercise. It's all the
workout
it's all
built
moving
in.
around.
Yeah. So yeah, this is something that I have really been spending a whole lot of time thinking about, the judgment issue and the alternative lifestyle thing, because obviously, you know, in different varying degrees with the people in my inner circle and stuff, I've dealt with that too. You know, people who love me and want the best for me, and I'm doing something that's weird, and they some of them can't wrap their heads around it.
Well, someone told me that, and I was living in my house and not thinking about being in a van. I would tend to just kind of go, really? Why?
What is that?
But I mean,
Yeah.
can't you afford it? You those are the things you kind of go to first. But, and not like this lady. Yes, I told her, no, I could have not done it.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much an act of desperation. Although now that I'm out and not having rent and a car payment and a cable payment and all of the other stuff I had, it is an interesting feeling after 14 days. There is a I don't know if the word's freeing yet, but it's sure, you know, and there's a kind of a sense that's the rebel in me that says, see, I'm poking around. My lifestyle maybe isn't living in some big house around here, all the amenities, but I'm sort of bucking the system.
Yeah, kind of. But I mean, you know, the for me, the whole thing is like, the question that I have to pose to these folks is, why is it okay for you to leave your personal property out in the street overnight, but it's not okay for me to leave my personal property out in the street overnight and be in it? Like, who am
I don't like
hurting?
feeling shamed. I mean, I told you I'm landing on a property right now, so I'm not fully, stealth. I haven't experienced that yet, having to be on the street.
Yeah.
And now that I've got this little reprieve,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be on the
Yeah.
street. I just because of the energy. I meant to tell you, I talked to a police officer that
Okay.
just in a donut shop. So I just said, hey, can I talk to you? And he, very curious, very interesting conversation. He kept telling me to go over to the sheriff's department and ask them, because he's not an attorney. I said, but you know the law.
Yeah.
He goes, I and he seemed like he was uncomfortable talking with me about it. Because he didn't seem to be judgmental about it. I told him exactly what I was doing. I didn't point out my van.
Yeah, sure.
And he said, nah, it's against the law.
Yeah.
I said, do you look for him? He says, I have.
Uh-huh.
Have you ticketed him? He goes, I have. But I didn't get the impression from him that he was out every night looking to get a quota of them or something.
Right, sure.
I think it had to do with if he was bored or
Right.
seeing something uncomfortable about it, the way it was parked or something.
The only time
But it didn't make me feel good about asking him.
The only time I've had the van knocked on, it has always been a direct result of somebody in the neighborhood complaining that night.
That's what he said. He said he's going to act percentagely on somebody's flagged him.
Right.
And it can be, usually a homeowner, but not
Right.
necessarily. It could, depending on where a business owner
Sure.
sees something strange. But he said a lot of times the neighbors see people getting. He was telling me how one guy that he gave a ticket to, because the guy kept getting in and out of his van to pee,
Oh, right.
and
right.
they noticed it. This person getting in and out because they had the windows overlooking the street.
Right.
I think that can't be right.
Yeah.
So he said you kind of give yourself away sometimes.
Right.
Too, by
Sure.
behavior.
That's one of the best practices, I think, that everybody talks about, is like the spot where you sleep. You sort of just want to roll, if you're going to be in like
Stealth.
public zones is to roll in and just go to sleep, you know, and then get
And
up
I don't
and
like
leave.
that though. See, and I thought I'd be okay with that,
Yeah.
but already I resent the fact because my life, I'm out all day long, kind of
Mm-hmm.
wandering around. So I got myself that little TV, and those are some of my old habits.
Yeah.
That's how I unwind.
Sure.
Just watching a little TV at night and maybe picking on my guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Now where I'm landing,
You can do those
I
things.
kind of do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can watch it, so I'm already a little spoiled.
Yeah, sure.
Plus, everyone tells me when you're out there, you come in late, leave early. You don't hang around all day long.
Right.
You're in the same place all day, all night.
Well, you can hang around the same place all day, just not sleep there, basically.
Correct.
Right, yeah. So, where are you at right now with it? Like,
I don't know. I sitting here. I've been down in Solana Beach today. I was able to get up tomorrow and hang out on the property today for a little while and kind of, make my bed and
Mhm.
watch a little Fox News. I like to watch that a little bit and pick on my guitar just to get my day going, and so I don't have to feel like I got to rush off. So that was kind of nice. I spent some time in Solana Beach, just shopping around. But I already find myself kind of just aimlessly just driving around, and just sitting around like with nothing to do, and I that worries me a little.
Yeah.
My emotional.
Uh-huh.
Because I can get, I've had issues with depression and things. I can be, up and down, so I have to monitor that so I don't.
Yeah.
But it forces me to get up and get out, and I wasn't doing that when I was in the house. I was
Right.
my renters, the landlords would say, "Geez, dude, are you all right?" Because we don't leave the place hardly at all, like for days on end.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. And, I said, no, but I'm realizing now that I had just kind of locked myself in there to up my game in the music.
Yeah.
And I've kind of done that now, and I think that's what the van represents, is I needed to make a big change.
Right.
Even if it ends up maybe not being the best or not, it's already accomplished what I wanted to do, and
Sure.
I wanted it to, say, geez,
Shake
dude,
you up a little
yeah,
bit.
get out, man. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful place. I'm finding these restaurants and meeting. Every time I go out, I hand out a half a dozen or a dozen cards. People want to come up and chat with me, and then I can pitch them. It's a great way to segue to the music.
Sure.
So, it hasn't been, I would never say it's boring
Yeah.
in any way.
Yeah.
And it's make it what it is. If you're going to sit around in your van all day and whine, I could see how that could be kind of depressing,
Yeah, I mean,
if
I
that's
always,
your goal.
I always try to sort of like when I try to think about the van and whether and how it influences my lifestyle, the question always has to come back to, if this is the alternative to living in a house, what would you be doing in the house? And if the answer is just sitting around in a brick and mortar
That's what's
home,
maybe I'm struggling with a little bit
Yeah.
is that sometimes you can be living a life that you perceive as something until you walk away from it and reflect back, and you realize that in some ways it was everything you wanted it to be musically, but the price tag was higher than you thought.
Right.
Socially and emotionally, not being around people. I'd go out and do my gigs, but then I was cutting everybody off.
right?
And that's just my story, and I don't think that's I don't think that's healthy.
Probably
you're
not.
not supposed to live in the world by yourself, do everything yourself. I don't want to be that way. So I'm realizing that I'm sort of, the van life is just plain forcing me to get out.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's a bad thing. There's a lot worse places to have to get out.
Oh, hell yeah. Then,
So I'm looking at I'm rediscovering the very place that I've lived in for 40 years.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. How do you look at that? What's the downside on that?
I can't imagine, man.
I don't think there is one.
I think that if we have options and we choose to, and just it's the same thing with your body as it is to your mental malleability and stuff as you get older. It's like
I think especially
you
as
can
you
do
get older.
Sudoku, but it may be even better to push yourself out of your comfort zone every once in a while.
I think in my case as a musician, often it's fueling the music though.
Yeah.
Which is
great.
what I was hoping for.
Okay.
In songwriting, and that's what you would hope it would do, right? but it's not inspiring it in the way that I thought. I thought I'd be sitting at the beach all day and just, wow, playing the beach. And that's not it. What's inspiring it is like these last 3 private parties I did. I did all-timers at 2 o'clock last Thursday, and then went right to La Jolla for all these young people, and then back again Saturday with these 70-year-old women. And then go right back into my van after these things.
Yeah.
Boom, right back into the little drive back up the coast in La Jolla after working 11 hours and go park and next to the freeway and turn on my little TV, and that's my life, I think. Wow, it's kind of shocking. You go to this big event, all these lights, and there's cameras and all these people, and I'm the one entertaining, and then pack it all up, and people say, hey, thanks a lot, and off you go in your little van.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a pretty interesting way to be in the world right now at my age. I don't really know too many guys that are doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So,
and I like that.
Yeah.
I like kind of being able to tout myself as somebody
a little different
adventurous a little bit.
Well, so feel free to like share as little or as much of the specifics about this as you want to, but why did you choose the van? What catalyzed the move?
I think it was for me it was probably knowing. I didn't know I would lose, would be laid off this past June of 2019. But I'd been there a long time, so I'm smart enough to know I'm not going to be there. I could have been there another 5 years, I suppose, or 2 or 3, but it happened when it happened. So my intuition was pretty good.
Okay.
And I'd been researching this extensively by watching a lot of videos.
Since before June.
2 years before.
Oh, okay.
I think just intuitively, just to keep my options open, because I knew that I was facing Social Security at some point, and I was getting older.
Mm-hmm.
But I think mostly I'm trying to make myself more excited about it than it is, and then I'd watch certain videos. I just watched one the other night, and these couple, they're younger, but they said they've been in it 2 years now, and they said, look, when their friends always go, oh, that's so cool. Well, they look at them and they go, it's cool, and then there's days that it's like life. There's days they could blow the thing up.
Right.
He's having mechanical troubles or electrical. He was showing me how they had to take the side of the wood off because something was, they had a lot of electrical in there, and he said it means they have to stop what they're doing and spend money that they don't. So then they have to do without, because van life is about conserving, and so when you blow some money somewhere,
you either got to find more or you got to do without for a little bit, without something.
Well, I guess that's what. Sure. So I get all that, but they say that don't look at it, don't put it so high out there.
Yeah.
It's not it's going to do. It can be harsh, but it's the harshness that I hear in all these people's stories is where the rewards are, though.
Yes.
The people they meet, the places they see, the things they would have never seen, even if they had a home and traveled, they would have never seen it in the way that they did, and met the people that they did because of the way they were traveling. And I see that already. Look at you. I've always wanted to be part of a podcast, but I move into a van 14 later. I'm in a podcast. But I think that's humorous.
Yeah. No, it's great.
So some of my dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
In 14 days, I'm actually a pretty blessed fellow that I'm moving along nicely.
I think that on both sides of the dialogue about van life, people are being hyperbolic. They're exaggerating what the real deal is. On Instagram, every girl who lives in a van has a nice ass and is looking out at Banff or the Colorado Rockies or something like that. Exactly. And then on the other side of the dialogue, everybody who lives in a van is a mooch, like freeloading, lazy
or
hippie drug addict
or whatever,
something like that.
Because it's the mentally ill part. But see, I've been plagued with that all my life. I come from a family. You asked me to share as much as I want.
Yeah. But
there is that element, if I may speak honestly, is I come from a family and a background where doctors were always trying to medicate me for bipolar or this or that. Fast forward, I was homeless once before, living in a car years ago. 5 years I lived in a car, and ended up at Turning Point in Oceanside. Do you know of it?
No.
It's a crisis house.
Okay.
And it's gnarly. I mean, the guy that runs that, the psychiatrist, I mean, you go in there, you check yourself in for 2 weeks, and you cannot leave. And you got duties. You go to 4 therapy sessions and a group every day.
Wow.
I mean, it's intense. But all the therapists, even the doctor, when he checked me in, this is when I was fit, so I was all shaved down. It's like, he looks up at me, and he's got greasy black hair in a white coat, everything you would, like,
Yeah.
And he looks up at me, takes one look, he goes, I'm looking at your chart here, you've been in and out of the, all this stuff about your depression. He goes, who's telling you you're depressed? And I went, what do you mean? And he goes, my doctor I've been with for 20. Well, he's wrong. And I went, what? And he goes, dude, where are you living? And I pointed out, I had a white Mercedes. My bike was in the back, and my dog. He goes, you're living in that right now? Are you drinking or doing any drugs? I said, absolutely not. I was cold, so sober the whole time I was out on the street.
Yeah.
And fast forward, he says, dude, who's telling you? Let me tell you something. You're going to be in here for 2 weeks. So I'm going to make sure they don't give you any of that kind of stuff. They're going to give you a little sleeping thing and whatever. You got to take that. What do you want from me? And I said, God, I know the rules say, but I'd love to be able to go run every day. And he goes, man, 25 years I've been doing this. I can't let anybody leave here. And then he stops. He goes, but you, I'm going to make an exception for.
Wow.
But think about that. And that few seconds tells me I'm not depressed. How does he know? But I think, and he's in a crisis house, he probably sees some pretty kooky people, so he probably knows more than my MD.
Sure.
And then he says, you're going to go for your run, but you got to sign out, and if you say you're going to leave for 50 minutes, you got to be back at 50 minutes. You can't be an hour and 10 minutes. Otherwise, you're out of here. Okay. I said, no problem. Then I'm turning around, he says, do you know what you are? And this all happens in a minute.
Yeah.
You're frustrated.
Frustrated.
And I went, and I almost started to weep. Because it felt like I am frustrated.
It was the right diagnosis.
But they don't diagnose frustration, and they should, because you're the kind of guy, people who are depressed don't look like, I mean, come on, dude, you're a very disciplined dude, and I can already tell you're a good listener. All this is happening in a minute. So that's what the van is. The van is about listening.
Yeah.
I'm a musician.
Yeah.
I got in there because I want to quiet down all of the corporate noise.
The rest of the stuff going on.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
And it's already doing it. I'm already successfully doing it. It's just hard to, it's just a little bit of, I don't know what it is. I don't know if
There's a learning curve to it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's a little harsh because, it's quieter. And so, no matter where you go, there you are.
There's a whole lot more Johnny now that there's not as much of everything else, right?
It's coming through really clear, and I got stuff. I'm not necessarily I'm a good man. I'm a good, honest guy. I'm not looking for any trouble, but I run by a certain code. I don't like people screwing with me. And I'm one of those guys that if I ask you to stop and you don't, you're gonna stop. And that sometimes upsets people. And then the other part of me is I'm a lover.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to give my gift away. Simple as that. There's no more to it than that. But everybody tries to put all this noise and spin on it. So that's what the van represents.
Okay.
It's about
maybe
not completely, but giving it a little crank on the.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, like horse blinders, sort of, right?
Kind of like I know
BS
all that. I know all that. I've seen all that. I've heard all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Double talk. I don't. All I want to do is kind of want to have blinders on. I want to make my own world, my own perception. Isn't that what we all end up doing, anyways?
Oh, God, I hope so.
I don't know.
Here, let me restart this. It's gonna stop in a second.
Am I talking too much?
No, dude. This is just what we
You're
need.
also, just a compliment. This isn't as easy to do as people might think. I don't know if anybody's giving you a compliment, but I'm pretty good at this stuff, public speaking and interviewing and stuff. And you to look me in the eyes like you are, and you're relaxed, you're asking good questions, you're a good listener too. That's a skill, man.
I appreciate that, man.
I mean, that must be why you like it.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm just having a good time over here.
But that's cool, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about music. have been gigging a lot for the last couple of weeks, right?
I have been last couple months. Yeah. For me, yeah, pretty steady.
Okay. What sort of places are you playing? You mentioned the you did like a corporate insurance thing this weekend.
The last Thursday was the cannabis industry.
Okay.
And the people that hosted the party were the insurance underwriters.
Okay.
So some pretty heavy hitters.
For the production
There was a
people.
lot of, not ties, but a lot of suits and pants and young guys your age, but really, you know, at the shoulders back.
Spiffed up.
Yeah, but as I got to meet them, though, some of them were doctors.
Yeah.
And we were, you know, there's a lot of pot being smoked, but they would be standing right there, and I go, I notice you're not smoking. I go, I don't have any interest in smoking. Well, you don't support it, do you? And they go, well, I 100% support it.
Yeah.
But I don't, the smell doesn't bother me, and I don't mind being around it, but I don't have any interest.
Just not into it.
And I thought, that was fascinating to me, that they could just be there and not be okay with it on all levels, judgmentally and all that. But there's some heavy hitting guys your age there. Most of the guys that were the growers were a lot of them were youngers, and we're talking 32,000 square feet places. They wouldn't tell me where they are.
Yeah.
I don't think they were trying to hide it, but
Right.
But the office, the one guy is right next to Mission Avenue Bar and Grill, where I play in Oceanside. His
Okay.
office is for the whole his whole facility is right next door.
Right.
So I'm gonna go see him.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, my music brought me to these people. It was a referral. That kind of stuff that wasn't happening to me for the last 15 years. So
Right.
why now?
Yeah. You just
And-
playing? Are you playing more? You playing better?
I'm continually finding my voice, which as an artist, as a musician, as a singer, that's where you want to get to. It's it's what all of my idols talk about: Neil Young, Paul McCartney, Cat Stevens, James Taylor. They all found their voice very early in their lives.
Yeah.
And they realized they were fortunate, but they worked hard at it.
Sure.
They were all just singing and writing all the time.
Right.
Boom, boom, writing their own stuff early on. So because of my experience, I don't think I ever trusted myself. So that's kind of the exciting part for me, is to let the singing, guitar playing be me. So that's part of the van too.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting over here there's no amplification or anything.
Right.
It's just the guitar.
Yeah.
So either it sounds okay or it doesn't. You can't cheat.
Yeah. There are no filters.
There's no reverb or stuff to kind of dress it up.
Yeah.
And then when you sing a cappella just outside like this, that's how your voice sounds.
Yeah. 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 It's not.
So that can be a little bit sometimes. Humbling.
So you're playing. You mentioned La Papagayo, which is a
Roxy across the street here. These
Okay.
little restaurant venues, yeah.
right.
But I don't do concerts. And that's what the van really, if you want me to be honest, that's why I did this, is probably 100% is so that I gave myself every opportunity right now, since I'm probably won't happen to me, but give myself every opportunity to get invited to do something more concerty,
Like a show.
Yes, well,
Your
and
show.
where people are paying,
Right.
to come in and sit and be quiet and listen, because they really like the artist. you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, every artist is going to say that, or every songwriter is going to say that's what they want, but very few get to do that, or get to do it very, very much. And then YouTube, get myself out there,
Yeah.
the video part of it,
Sure.
the
Sure.
performance, the whole thing,
Right.
not just the listening aspect of it.
So what? Yeah. Where are you headed? What's your strategy? What's your plan? You just playing as much as you can and
think
trying to find networks
to be
from that.
willing to go wherever I need to go.
Yeah.
There's no job restriction, because
Right.
I can't. I'm too tired or whatever that whole excuse was. And the van means I can go anywhere and stay there.
Yeah.
I don't have to get a hotel. I mean, in other words, I don't have to think, oh God, how am I going to go to Palm Springs for a week? I can't afford a room there. I
Right.
don't know anybody. But if I had a car, I'd have to play that game. And I know guys that do it. They travel, and they tell me that it's not nearly what you think it is.
Yeah.
That you want to be really selective if you're going to start, because you can go banging around and you don't make a bunch of money, and you're staying places you really don't want to be. maybe the gig didn't go too good, and now you're feeling super lonely, and then you got to drive all the way back to San Diego and
Sure.
spend all that money on gas. I said, be careful. They get what I'm saying, but they said, it's the principle of attraction that I'm trying to trust right now.
Right.
That I'm not out looking to go to Palm Springs, but if somebody's seen me play
Sure.
and wants to invite me to their venue because they want to pay me, because they want to pull somebody fresh over there, something like that.
Right.
Then I drive over there, I'm going to make money, but somebody's already knows the product.
Right. Yeah, I feel we were talking about this, I guess, last week, but I feel like that's sort of the way that I would approach it in your situation is like, you know, if you play enough gigs here, somebody from Orange County or Palm Springs or Los Angeles is going to like your music and give you an opportunity to play some stuff up there.
Yeah, you know. And then again, I've had a few people at this party tell me that one of the photographers, he was just there. He wasn't actually, he took a video of me, and he said that he'd like to call me sometime. He said, I don't think you're appreciating the fact that when you take a picture of you in video, there's actually a little like a aura around you. It's weird, and that's what photographers are looking for.
Right.
When they're looking for a subject or a subject matter, they're looking for the light. And certain people, that's why certain people do well on television. They're photogenic, or they just, there's something about their way their light hits them and stuff, and that fascinates me because there's way more going on with me than most people know. They see the music, but if you start listening to the lyrics and start to pay a little attention, I'm talking about the depression, but I'm talking about it in an inspirational way. I'm saying you can manage it. You don't necessarily, I'm not saying a doctor saying you shouldn't take your medications or should, but I think we live in a way, I guess maybe that's where I'm a rebel. My experience is they're quick to medicate everyone. I saw my parents get 30 medications my dad had. I found out, before he died. Who takes,
That's
for
a lot.
what?
Yeah.
For what? My mom and sister didn't even know what half of them were. They're giving them to him. But that can't make you, no wonder my dad was scrambled, And I don't feel that way. I take an aspirin for my heart. I had a heart attack in 2005. And a little cholesterol pill.
Okay.
And I don't take any, doctors would have me, from the heart attack, would have me on 5 or 6 blood thinners. And I'd be all bruised by now, if I'd taken them for the last 15 years when I had my heart attack.
Yeah.
And my doctor sees me and he just goes, wow. I don't see anybody that looks
You're
like
doing it.
I don't see anybody that looks like you at 65. No one. That doesn't make me impervious to living, but it certainly gives me a little more stamina and a shot to do things that a lot of people wouldn't attempt at my age.
Right. The thing that you said about talking about depression in an inspirational way made me think of, I'm a big hip hop fan. I grew up in the South, and one of my ways to rebel was to listen to a genre of music that's from completely not where I'm from, and it was really cool because as a result I got sort of a different narrative and a different take on the American culture and stuff, because you're hearing voices from people who are not privileged in the way that I am, right? And the difference between a rapper who talks about the marginalization of their community in an uplifting and opportunistic way is so much more powerful than somebody, and I've fallen into this trap personally a lot of times in my life, of just being pissed off about injustices in the world. But if you talk instead about how resilient your community is in the face of this injustice, right? It's so much more powerful. It has so much more opportunity for progress and building momentum.
Well, in the song I was describing to you earlier that I've been taking out live, I wouldn't want to go through the lyrics, word by word, and then try to tell someone this is why I wrote it and what I said. I don't like to do that if I don't have to, but the song is is about what's happening to me right now. But I call them like Paul McCartney calls them. Why do people write these? Some people, they write these songs with all these lyrics, and he says, well, why would you blow your wad in one song? What tease people a little bit? So I've learned from these guys, write your songs simply.
Yeah.
They don't have to be these long drawn out things, and the best songs are 3 or 4 minutes long. But you don't necessarily even have to know what the song means. It's a myth. He said that songwriters they're all heavy and stuff. Paul McCartney says, I don't know what half of my songs mean. And they're the ones that are most popular. And to this day, people ask me, I just tell them, if that's what it means to you, that there's drugs and illicit sex in it. But honestly, I didn't write it. That's not necessarily what I was thinking when I wrote it.
Yeah.
So when I write them, I often am looking for just if it elicits any feeling from someone.
Yeah.
Then I know I did my job.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what they felt, but then I'm butting in.
Yeah.
And I've learned from these other songwriters by paying attention to them at a early age and listening to their not just their songs, but listening to them talk.
About the process.
Yes, about the process.
Yeah.
And it's what nobody understands about me, even my fellow musicians. Oh, we know you, John. Really? When's the last time you've been? These are the two people I play with, Barry and Sonia. You've been playing with me for 12 years. When's the last time you've been to my website? Well, I haven't been to your website. Okay. So you hear my songs. Which one do you like? Well, they can't think of the name of them or even how it goes. Now, that could insult me if I was so full of myself. Doesn't insult me. No, I couldn't care less. Neil Young is my mentor because he says, if you're a songwriter, why in the hell would you care what anybody thinks about your songs? Now that doesn't make any sense to most people. They go, well, but that's why you do it. And he goes, listen to me. No, it isn't. That's your reason for doing it. I do them because I have to. Right. I don't read, they just are flooding out of me, and that's how I feel. I could go over there right now and I'm working on and spend the rest of the day just working on the little melodies of 2 or 3 things, but I get distracted, and sometimes I don't feel like doing it, so I just don't. But if you're Willie Nelson, all these guys talk about it, you're not worth your weight of gold if you don't have something to say as an artist. It doesn't mean it has to be evil or all about love. It's just it's you. So I'm not trying to be like anybody else. That's what I'm getting at.
Sure.
Well, I'm one of those guys. There's a lot of people around who say they're not trying to be like anybody, and then you watch them, and all they do is try to be like somebody else. They go to work at the same place like everyone else does. They put their kids on their knee the way that everyone else does. They have 2 garages that are full of, like everyone else, with 2 SUVs. So I'm saying, I always ask people this question, because I can today. If I want to go back, get in that van right now, I can go pull out there. I can go left or right. Right now.
Yep.
Can you?
Yeah.
And if you say no, then you're not going to get a guy. You're not going to ever understand a guy like me, because that's how I've led my whole life. And that upsets people, though. People get upset with Neil Young. Oh, he's too hard to work with. He goes, I'm not hard to work with. I just know what I want. And if I don't want to do that, no. I'm not going to do it. Now, that means maybe I'm hard to get along. It doesn't mean that at all. I don't think.
I think that you and I are very similar in terms of our desire to sort of do what the fuck we want to do. And
yeah, but it's okay to say it that way.
And not be, beholden to some notions of propriety, whether they're especially if they're not completely founded in reason, right? But it's so curious to me for 2 people who are so independent to still have this concern with the van life thing, and it's like,
because I'm insecure.
When people judge us, it still affects us.
Just because I may come off at times to be pretty together and got everything, and I'm playing music and stuff. as soon as I go back into the world, I'm full of insecurity.
Yeah.
Man. I'm a human being. I have a full range of stuff going on every day. Maybe that your or the next person, their head isn't that busy, but mine is. And that's a huge liability for me in my life, or a huge asset.
Depends on the moment.
Well, it's what I do with that.
Yeah,
but even
exactly.
when it's a liability, almost always it turns into an asset because of what I do with it.
Yeah.
Because the liabilities always point me back to saying, why are you trying? What are you doing? Following? What makes you going back to being comfortable now? Because you're just a little scared. You want security. There's no such thing, in my opinion.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
I mean, not really.
Yeah.
Not in the end.
We're all going the same place.
Well,
dude.
I'm just saying you have to be, and there's a lot of people that, and you may not see this yet in your life, or maybe you have, but I have, my friend. Marty, I've got a lot of friends that are in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and some who died when they were your age. Two of my best friends that I worked with were your age, 39. Just saw his wife at the hardware store in Solana Beach. I haven't seen her since he died. Felt really. In fact, I'm gonna get a hold of her. Really cool guy. Died cancer, gnarly, and he was a boozer, alcoholic at the same. All of that, I still love the guy. But when I think about him and all the life that I've lived since he died, and then I had a heart attack when I was 2005, 99% blockage. I was running 80 miles a week. I should freaking be dead. The doctor goes, you should be deader than a doornail, dude. And he goes, I think the only reason you're here is because, look, they pulled... in the morning, a doctor goes, look at your body on you.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Just ripped everywhere. So your fitness maybe saved you this time. And here's what he said to me. Pulled my gown open and he said, are you scared? And I go, scared shitless. I didn't think anybody gave a damn about me. And when I woke up, the whole room was full of flowers. Full of flowers everywhere. Who are these? I don't... And it was just people that found out that I knew but didn't think could give a rat's ass about me.
Yeah.
And he said, let me tell you something. Are you scared? He goes, I'm going to tell you something. You need to forget and stop doing everything you were doing before this happened. Do you understand me? Now, that's a pretty cool doctor. That not giving me medication. He's not going to play the game. And that's what he said to me. You're one of those guys that will be able to understand this. Most guys, they don't listen to me and they're back here 2 years, 3 years with another stent, or another heart attack, or they die. Or stroke, worse. And there they are in their rooms at 80. Just, that could be you, dude. You need to forget everything. In other words, he said, get happy, man.
Yeah.
Live your life fully. You need to do whatever it is that pleases you. Stop anxietying. Stop being depressed. Stop being so hard on yourself. That heart attack is a blessing.
Yeah. Huh.
God almighty. And I think, you got to be kidding me, dude.
Yeah.
I thought, are you nuts? I'm laying there and I'm just going, what happened to me? Helicopter ride to La Jolla, and the helicopter pilots knew me. That's John Collius, the runner, owned the running. They all knew me. They go, what the fuck is he doing in there?
Right.
And I just told them, yeah, I'm one of those guys who used to think it won't happen to me. When you become one of those guys that now you know it can happen to you, it changes you, man. Or you're stupid.
Yeah.
No, you're really foolish, because it's God saying, you're gonna get another crack at this dude. Like, wake up. Which means kind of check out. That's what the doctor was saying. Your job is killing you. All that shit ain't good for you, man.
What were you doing then? You were at the same job that you lost recently. Yeah. And this is sort of jumping back a little bit, but I keep thinking about this, and how crazy that you had both of these super rad doctors at the crisis center and the
once in a lifetime. It happened to me twice.
Right. And the thing that occurred to me,
and
about
you're smart to even pick up on that.
The other guy, the guy at the crisis center, said to you was, "You're not depressed, man." And what popped into my head at that moment is like, is there really anything better that you can say to somebody who is depressed?
No.
Then you're not depressed.
No, and he did it instantly.
Yeah.
That tells me he's probably and this is what someone said you should listen to this guy.
Yeah.
Exactly when he said, listen to me. He goes, before I left, I was walking, I goes, listen to me, you're a smart guy, he said, but you're going to get a lot of therapy, and you're going to get more therapy here in 2 weeks, acute, intense therapy, than you'll get in a lifetime here times a million. Use it. And I did. I mean, I worked on those. I would look forward to them, and I did my work. Look, facing ourselves.
It's fucking hard, man.
Do you know anyone that had an easy time in that? I
No.
don't. And I mean, if you're going to do this authentically, face yourself, you're going to have to fess up to stuff, you know, the way you're treating people, or the way you're treating yourself, or, you know, do you really want to be in the world like that? Because you can change it. But typically we got everything's pretty dialed into us at an early age, 8, 10, 12 years old. That's the way most people, if you watch them, that's how they go through their life.
Yeah.
Even though they would love to change, they will not take the risk to upset others, because what I tell my family and my friends is that they'll say to me, geez, John, you're crazy, but you called me. You fucking called me. You called me to tell me I'm nuts? But I didn't call you. I don't get that. What am I missing here?
Yeah.
And this is what I ask them. I go, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'm stupid? No, man. We think you're... And they'll use words like cunning. And I'm saying, cunning? Listen to me. I'm not asking for an answer. Do you think I'm stupid? Walk away with that right now. Never hear from them again. These are best friends of mine.
Yeah.
Male friends. My mentors. 78-year-old. Once I ask them that question, I never hear from them. Isn't that interesting? Oh, yeah. Oh.
What do you think that means?
Something the van can help me with. See, that's what I'm saying. If you really start to get to know me, you'll see that the van, there's a lot of layers that the van represents to me. It represents some place for me to sort some of this out.
Yeah.
Again, the noise. I gotta get things simple. No bills. I don't want to even sit and write bills. I don't want to do any of that. To me, it's nuts. You know, when I look at some people's lives, I think of all the bills they pay every month.
Yeah.
It's nutty, you know.
Yeah.
They don't need half of it. And they don't even know why they have it. That's fine if they want. I don't care. But simplicity, I'm a minimalist. I always, ask my parents. Just sit in my room. But they you never know. You know, I've never them bought me stuff. I like to get stuff like everybody else, but I like nice things. You know, this is a $3,000 guitar. I don't need a $3,000 guitar. Best decision I ever freaking made in my life by a million. You see the way I'm holding it? I love this thing.
Yeah.
I play this live all the time for people. This tells my story.
Yeah.
You know, how I strum it and how I sing and stuff. It's saying to people, you know, come on in. It's all it's saying. Doesn't mean I have the answer for anybody. But it's fun to be told stories.
Yeah.
Don't we all learn from
yeah.
stories? We all learn a little something when we listen to someone's story, right?
Sure,
I love
sure.
stories. It's like why we like movies or books. Or, it's all this is. It's not rocket science what I do. But yeah, why do I think that is? Well, I don't know. Well, it's pretty interesting when I ask people, do they think I'm stupid? Because I don't think they think I'm stupid at all. I think they think I'm pretty bright. The other thing I ask them is, they'll always say to me, God, you don't listen, man. All these years I've known these people, my family, my friends, ex-lovers. Oh, you don't listen. Every time they come back in my life, once again, you don't listen to me. Yet this psychiatrist in the crisis house there says, no. You're a very good listener. Why would he tell me that? All these things, frustration, all these things within a minute or two period, because he was trying to get my attention. Because this is the last stop.
Yeah.
This is a crisis house. There's nowhere else to go except the mental institution. And he said, listen, he goes, let me tell you why you're a good listener. Anybody that tells you that you're not, don't listen to them. And you don't, because they're bullshitting you every time, and that's why you're not listening to them. And that's why I don't really like it when people start double talking me. I really don't care who it is. I know some really smart people, and all they do is double talk all day long. You can have a lot of money.
Profitable thing to do, man.
It sure is. Thank you. Yeah, but I'm just saying, so why try to come off like you're, just because you got a bunch of money and this and that, it's wonderful. It doesn't mean you're not a good person, but just because you do doesn't mean you are either, you know? And I'm one of these guys that says, look, I don't give a shit that you got a house on the ocean. You're bullshitting me right now. I'm still supposed to be your friend.
Yeah.
And you're double talking me, meaning he'll say, oh, I don't drink. And then comes out to listen and we play music and gets sloshed. Not just drunk, but I mean comatose. And then you watch him walk outside at 78 years old and get in his car. I'm just saying, and the next day he tries to act like he doesn't know what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. Do you think I'm stupid? That's why I don't hear from him again. Because the cat's out of the bag. It stops right here. There's a line now. You want to come back into my world? Stop. Stop the fucking double talk. They're not gonna. They're in everything they do is double talk. That's how they survive. Let me tell you something, Marty. I don't want any part of that world, my friend.
Yeah.
And your circle of friends gets smaller, I find, when you start to put that little rule up there. I'm saying, look, be yourself. But when you start, what is that? It's a waste of my time to spend my time. I don't care how good a friend the guy is, trying to tell me. You know, so I asked them. They'll say, "Well, you think I'm bullshitting you," and I say, and the same goes about me. If I'm bullshitting you, I wish you would tell me.
Yeah, please.
And they'll say, "Well, you bullshit me all the time." Really? Give me an example.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't mean I'm not. But if you can't give me an example, but if they ask me, I have dozens of them. They'll go, "Wow, yeah, you're right. I did tell you that, and I probably should." Well, why? Did you tell me? Why are you trying to tell me that though? Why? And if you're doing it with me, who else are you doing? I'm saying if you're doing that all day long, God, dude, wow. What an amazing expenditure of energy for nothing. There's nothing good comes of that. You only hurt people. Yourself, everybody else.
This goes back, I think, to what you were saying about, you know, the difference in, you know, writing a song for other people as opposed to just saying what you have to say.
I write the song because I have to.
Yeah.
I'm a songwriter. It's a muscle, and once you understand that you have it, the people who come into my life musically, like the opera singer years ago who pulled me out of the band and said, do you realize you have a sweet voice for a male? Has anyone ever told you that? I go, no. And she goes, and they won't. None of your friends, none of your musical buddies, everybody tells you how wonderful. They'll never ever tell you have a sweet voice because it's unique. It's you. And you're not trying to be like anybody else, are you? She said, and I go, no. And she goes, stay on that path. That's where the rewards are.
Right.
That's where the satisfaction comes in,
right.
and the passion, and the joy of playing music will only happen if you stay a songwriter. Stay true to yourself. Don't try to be like anybody else. You sing how you need to sing.
Yeah, and
very great advice.
Yeah.
Follow your heart, all that.
For sure.
But when you're a singer, why do you want to sound like somebody else? If you're trying to make it in that world, you just want to carve your own paths. It's very simple.
Yeah.
And when I was in business, retail, footwear, same thing. People with Nikes. I opened my store and everyone says, well, you can't open a store. I go, what do you mean? They go, well, we're not going to sell to you. You have to come to us first before you open and prove to us that you have the knowledge and the money in the bank and the experience. I said, I understand that. That makes sense. I can understand why you want that. I don't do things that way. And they go, what do you mean you don't do things? I don't work for you. I went into business. I don't have to work for fucknuts like you. So don't start telling me what to do right out of the chute. Here's the deal. I'm open. And I love Nike product. Would you like to sell me it or not? Well, yes, we would. Well, duh. Let's get to work. So that's how I ran my business. I mean, with all this other noise. That's all noise to me. I understood it. I understand why they did it. But I won't comply.
Yeah.
And this world says, well, if you don't comply, you can't go off into the world. Well, that's just not factual. Do you know what I mean? It's not factual, man. You can be non-compliant and still go off into the world.
Yeah. I mean, what?
It doesn't mean you're a jerk. It just means you're not compliant. It means I'm not gonna. I look at every rule. Some of them don't make sense to me. That's all.
I think that's the way to operate.
And I'm willing to take the hit.
And some of the rules are super useful, and some of them just don't make sense.
And if the ones that I don't choose not to be part of, if I have to deal with the law or somebody, business. When I was in retail for how many years? 15, and about 12 years into it, all the suppliers were in bed with all the big guys. So I said, well, you guys, I can't discount my product unless I can buy it discounted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but you don't qualify.
You don't buy enough.
I said, what, really? Really? So I had a friend of mine pull an invoice from one of my big competitors who had 8 chain stores, an invoice that the owner took and crossed out the 90 days dating, added another 30 days and took another 15% off of already 25% discounted order for 1,000 pair of shoes. Now I had that invoice and walked into a Nike meeting. What do you think they said to me when I pulled that out? They go, where the hell did you get that? That's none of your business. And I went, wrong answer. Today I declare war on everyone. New Balance, Reebok, Asics Tiger, everyone. None of you you won't get another check from me as long as I'm in business, unless you get in bed with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we won't do it. So I walked away. 6 months would go by, a year would go by, and the credit manager would call and say, God, you paid your bills for 12 years. All of a sudden we're noticing, whoa, you haven't paid your bill in 6 months. We just caught it. And I go, like I told you 6 months ago. So now what do they know about me?
They just don't fuck around.
I don't fuck around.
Yeah.
If I say I'm going to come after you, you should probably be looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Because I'm irritated now. So a year went by, and guess what happened? All the credit managers from all these companies loved me because I would always take their call, and they would say, are we going to get a check this week, Mr. Collias? No. And they go, okay. Then they'd say, well, we have an order here that's waiting to be shipped. It's for $1,500, and it's a shoe that I was selling a lot of. I said, well, ship it to me. Well, you gotta give something back. And then when they said that, there's that word again. Everything's negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I'll send you a check for $1,500 right now. So I did, and that shipment would come. So even with my credit into $50,000, I was in the Nike, they were still shipping me. So what do I know? You obviously like to get in bed with people.
Yeah.
If they're push you hard enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay my rent over here in Encinitas. I told the landlord the same thing. At the same time, he doubled my rent. And I said, you can't just double it. Jesus, I said, so now you're not going to get any. And he goes, what? What are you talking about? I go, you're not going to get any. Well, we're going to take care of this. So I get an attorney, calls me Monday morning. This is Mr. So-and-so downtown. And we're going to nip this in the bud. And I said, let me tell you something, asshole. How many people do you chasing around for money today? And he says, well, I'm a successful attorney. I said, you want to put my all the way to the bottom. Because not only will you never get a dime from me, but if you chase me, I'll come after you. And he says, you can't threaten me, dude. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you that I will make your life miserable. He goes, what am I supposed to take by that? And I said, find out. I stayed in there for 3 years running my business and just walked out after 3 years and threw the keys in there one day. Never heard boo from them. But how many guys do you know that's happened to, Marty? None. You won't find any. You could look in every business person, the smartest guys in the world, and my entrepreneur friends of mine, my mentor friends of mine, to this day will bring it up in a conference. Just go, how are you doing that with the suppliers? And and staying open though, because I always took their calls.
Yeah.
I was right there.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't telling you I was going to dodge. I just was telling you no.
Right.
And when they experience that, lawyers don't know what to do when you don't hire another attorney. What are they going to do? Engage me? You're not going to get anything. Dumb. There's nothing to get.
Right.
Move on. It's a pretty good strategy.
Well, yeah.
If you're trying to do my objective was to just beat them up. Not that they cared, but I wanted to show them that I could stay open without them actually having shut me down already.
Right.
Why would they ship me though? Who does that? Why would my owner, do you think, let me stay in there? So that's what's driving all this.
Yeah.
All of those things, it's what my music is about. It's saying, be careful what everyone's telling you. It's not necessarily the way it is.
Right.
And so have a little negotiating room in your life, you know. And you got to get that.
Yeah, I do.
You wouldn't be doing this. You're a good I can already tell you. You know how to negotiate.
When we have these conversations and like hearing your story about, you know, the shift, the immediate change when after your heart attack and that sort of thing.
And it was immediate.
Yeah. And my father just retired, and I talked to him on the phone today, and my dad is not a super openly emotive person, you know? And just today on the phone, he said it, but I could also feel it in his vibe. He's like, I think that he didn't realize, because he loved his job, and he had his job for many, many years, and retired on good terms with them and all of that. And I think that he was working this job for 35 years or whatever it was, and didn't realize how much of a toll it was taking on him. And he said to me today, because he loved it, you know what I mean? Right. But it was still stressful, and it was still work and all of that. And he was like, man, he said some of the same stuff. He's like, I'm really focusing on taking care of myself right now. And I am feeling so much better just because of the amount of daily stress that I had before that I don't have anymore, you know? And what I'm trying my best to do in my slightly younger years is to heed these stories and benefit from that wisdom that comes from your cathartic, terrible...
And all that wisdom, your dad or mine, if you want to call it wisdom or experiences we have, the message is, it doesn't mean that you're not going to leave your van one day and go back into the world. You may or may not.
Right.
The experience, what you bring with you, it's priceless. You couldn't go to a school and acquire that somewhere. Right. It's something you have to feel and experience. And when you said feel, like with your dad, these are the things that he's going to discover, that he's going to be able to relate to his son in a I think a better way, more honest. I mean, why would you not want that kind of relationship with your father? You want your father to be happy, but more than that, you want him to be engaged.
Yeah.
And you know, engaged.
Yeah.
And he's seeing that. And he's one of the luckier ones, you know, because a lot of guys don't get too lucky. They get hammered after they get out. They start drinking, or they give up, or they just are blown away with too much time on their hands, which is one of my concerns.
Right.
Because then I start thinking, and I can think about not so good things too about myself, you know, which is there's a reason, you know, that I'm by myself. Right now, and not with a woman or in a relationship. These ladies all ask me at the party, you know, how come a guy like you isn't married? I mean, you're a nice looking guy and you're a musician. I said, it's the exact reason why I'm not married. And they all understood what I meant by that, and that is that all of them made some comment to me during the course of the 2 hours there of how they would like to change me, cut my hair, cut my beard, get me into a house, you know, get me under their wing somehow. And I said, so you really do. We all understand each other, that you know that I'm one of those guys that they couldn't have me if they wanted me. And I don't mean that in an ego way, but there's not enough, they couldn't catch up with where I'm at. They wouldn't understand. They're all busy. They all are nicely dressed, and they have these big homes, and they drive in their nice little Mercedes. And it's, no, you're coming from that world. You're not going to understand. You're not going to go with that. And if I was lucky enough to meet a woman like that kind of got what I was doing, I'm actually open to that now, which is interesting. I wouldn't have been before the van. I was pretty shut off. Now I'm talking with women again, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I think something could more likely happen that way than me being off in my house somewhere close.
Sure. Well, and you know, I was thinking about this last week, because I've been with more women than I would like to admit that I tried to date that tried to change me. And I honestly a lot of times have tried to change for them, and it just doesn't fucking work.
But most people that are married, not I say most, my parents were one of them. They make a deal, man, and then they honor it, I guess, and stick to it.
Yeah.
I guess, but I don't even. That's why you can't talk to families about these kind of dynamics, because people know what's really deep down inside. That my dad was very abusive to my mother. There was alcoholism in our family. Just those two things. If I say that in front of my two younger sisters and brother, they flip. They become very angry with me. Why would you say that?
Oh, and super defensive and stuff.
Like that. I said, but I'm not beating them up, but I'm saying that our family is affected by all of that.
Yeah.
And how that it translates into mental illness potentially and all that stuff. And families are crazy dynamics, and no one escapes. Just because one person in the family, the others are safe or something, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean everybody has the same thing, but it means that there's an understanding of it. So I'm a big nut in families, and realizing that families are everybody props families up as these wonderful things. Yeah, they're wonderful if they're healthy.
Right.
They're not necessarily wonderful. I've been to a lot of therapy, Marty, a lot of counselors, and a lot of different settings, more than most people will go to in a lifetime, times 100. I'm the guy that really did that. I went to 3 or 4 AA meetings a day for 5 years. I mean, I'm the guy that did those things. If you can imagine going to AA meetings, I never spoke. So I had that going on, that people, I'd walk in there and go, well, what are you doing here? You never share. You're supposed to share when you're here. And I'd go, no, but I'd say, listen to yourself. Sounds like you're trying to indoctrinate me. Ease off. I don't want to speak. I know if everyone didn't speak, then we'd all have to sit here and just be quiet. Maybe that wouldn't be so bad either. All the showmen in the room, trying to, all their antics and jokes and stuff. I just listened. It was the best investment I ever made in my life. To see all the crazy people in there and realize that I was one of them, and everyone's the same. And then you realize one day that maybe I'm really not crazy, And you just go there, and you go to church, or you go and you get and sometimes you just move on. Sometimes that's what you were supposed to hear at that time, and they were good for me to get myself in there and realize that life wasn't revolving around me all the time, man. That was hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm, ego. I like the attention. That's why I like to be on stage. I like people to clap and tell me they love me and stuff. Why would I not? But that stuff doesn't fill you up. You have to try to fill yourself up
Do
first.
it for yourself.
I think so, don't you? I mean,
I do. Yeah.
I don't think that's preachy. I just think it's kind of a reality that either you face, and a lot of people get down their life, and all of a sudden they're slapped in the face with that at retirement, and it's too late, kind of, to do some of the things that I did, to spend that much time in therapy and stuff to try to find yourself. All of my therapists told me that I did such good work in those things that I might be one of the lucky ones that maybe it would pay off 30 or 40 years down the road. In other words, you don't go to therapy for instant gratification, man. You're dreaming. It's to begin to pull things back, and then saying, if my inclination is to get angry with someone and that's not working, then I got to work hard at picking a second or a third response.
Another option,
Yeah, because, and I'm one of those guys who's successfully, and I say successfully, I work on that really hard every day to be a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Just to be a good man. Whatever, simply what that means. Opening doors for a lady today, 2 ladies in the shopping center, and just little things like that make me feel good, like I'm paying attention to the right things. You know what I mean? And letting all that other stuff go, man.
Melt away.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, cool. What did we not cover? You got some more stuff? What's your website?
www.johnnycband.com. That's JOHNNY CBand, JohnnyCband.com. And but I think all of this, it would be certainly why I'm in the van. Little therapy, a little time out, some of those things too, for sure.
Cool. I really had a good time chatting with
Thank
you.
you. Likewise.
Appreciate you coming here. Will you play a song now? Or you want to do it in here? You want to do it in your band? What do you? Everything's set up. If you're comfortable,
I'll do it right here. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's a good time. All right, come up here. You can roll whenever you're ready.
It's called Think It Over. Spinning round and round, all of this noise is bringing me down. Think it over. Think it over. But I just gotta get out of this town, look to those sunsets and be homeward bound. Think it over. Think it over. Well, I'm living this life by the seat of my pants, trying to forgive and forget sweet romance. Think it over. Think it over. Think it over.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Soon, man.
All right, guys, we did it. That's 30 episodes in the books. Thank you so much for listening if you've made it this far. I really had a good time talking to Johnny. I think it's super important to talk to our elders and, you know, whoever we can, just to sort of take whatever lessons we can learn from him. And Johnny's got a bunch of varied stories. It was really great to sit down and talk to him. He's also got a very sweet voice. So if you want to check out more of his music, maybe come out and see him play sometime, go to johnnycband.com. And you know what? Maybe while you're on the internet, you should go over to fromthevan.com and follow us on all our platforms and write a whole bunch of unrealistically positive reviews. Thanks again for listening, and come back next Tuesday for another episode of From the Van.